Hi boys and girls, it's so nice to see you today. My name is Joyce Raimondo. I'm an artist and an author. I wrote a book called What's the Big Idea? Activities and Adventures in Abstract Art. And in this book there's one of my favorite artists. Her name is Georgia O'Keeffe. She's an American artist and she was very famous for painting beautiful flowers, but she painted in a very unusual way. She made her flowers very, very large. Now, you know, in real life, a flower is about this big. But in Georgia's pictures, they filled the whole entire canvas. They were gigantic. And she used beautiful colors. She didn't paint exactly the way the flower looked. So we're going to paint giant flowers today, and you get to use your imagination. To imagine you're a bee and you're flying into a bush, and in that bush there's all sorts of beautiful flowers, and you're waiting to see what flower you're going to land on. And when you land on the flower, you're so close up to it you can't even see the whole entire plant because you're actually in the flower. Well, that's the kind of painting we're going to do today. We're going to paint as if we're so close up to the flower that we can't see the entire flower. Before you start painting, you might want to go outdoors with an adult and look at some beautiful flowers. You might have flowers in your yard, in a garden, or even on the city street you can find flowers. I found these beautiful roses. Aren't they pretty? And then I took a really close look. I got so close to these roses that I could even see tiny droplets of water on them. I love the beautiful shades and tints of pink. And there's so many beautiful flowers around us. Take a really, really close look. You might even want to take some pictures. Zoom in with your camera and crop the photo so you get a very, very close-up look at the flower. And now we're ready to start painting. You're going to choose what flower you want to paint. And you can use plastic flowers like this. You can get a photograph of a flower. Or you can actually use a real flower, which is extra special. Today I'm going to make a sunflower. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw. And you're not going to draw the flower exactly the way it looks. But I want you to take a look at the flower and see what shapes you find. So my sunflower has a nice circle in the middle and then all these beautiful petals. But boys and girls, look closely. No petal is exactly the same as the other one. And if you look way into the center of that circle, you'll notice the middle is dark, and then around the edge there's a little squiggly line. So I'm going to see if I could capture that in my drawing. And I'm going to make my sunflower gigantic. See my paper? I'm going to make this flower as big as this paper. And I'm using a permanent marker. So here I go. Wow, I'm making the inside of the flower really, really, really big. And I'm making that squiggly line that goes all the way around. And then I'm going to make another squiggly line for the inside of my sunflower. See? So, boys and girls, you don't have to draw it exactly the way it looks, but look at your flower and get some ideas about what you see. And now I'm going to make a pattern. A pattern is something that repeats itself over and over again. And I notice the petals make a beautiful pattern. So watch how I make one petal repeat itself and then the next and the next. But they're not going to be all exactly the same. That's the fun of it. I can make all different kinds of petals. And boys and girls, I'm making it so big it doesn't even fit onto my paper. It goes right, whoa, right off the edge of the paper. See? And sometimes I'm going to even make it extra, extra long. So you can make it a little make-believe. It doesn't have to look exactly like the flower. Notice I'm drawing with what's called a permanent marker. This type of marker, if you add paint or water to it, it doesn't blend. So it's very important to either use permanent markers or crayons. So here I have my petals, but it looks a little weird because now I need to put the petals that are in the background of the flower. So I'm going to actually overlap a little here. Boys and girls, you don't have to do it my way. You don't even have to do a sunflower. You can make a rose. You can draw a daisy. You can draw a tulip. Or a lilac. There's so many beautiful flowers. Wow, look at all those petals, boys and girls. Should I add a few more? Yeah, I think so. This is fun. And there's some lines I notice in here. I'll put those in as well. So there's my sunflower. Do you see how the sunflower is gigantic? It doesn't even fit on the painting. Now I'm going to start to paint it in. Here's what you'll need to get started painting. Of course, you're going to need brushes, and I like to have different sizes, small, medium, and large, and a fresh cup of water. And I'm using tempera paints, and I put them in cups. They're water-based paint. And a rag to wipe off your brushes. And this is called a palette. This is where I'm going to mix my colors. I'm using a disposable palette that I bought in an art supply store. You could also use wax paper or even a paper plate. Okay? I want to show you some basic painting tips. When you paint, you can scoop some of the paint from the cup onto the palette, and this way you can mix some of your colors. Now before I put this red brush into the blue, I'm going to wash it. So stir it around in your water and then wipe it off. I'm using primary colors. I have red, blue, and next I'm going to use yellow. And from these three colors, believe it or not, did you know you can mix all the colors in the world? Pretty amazing, huh? You know, boys and girls, what color do I need? Orange. I'm going to scoop up a little red and a tiny bit of yellow. And look at the beautiful orange that I get. Oh, I need a little more yellow, huh? Do you know how to mix purple? Did you say red and blue? That's right. Let's see what happens when I mix blue with red. Ooh, I get a pretty purple, huh? Nice. And what if I want green? Do you know what colors do I mix to get green? Let's try a little touch of blue with some yellow. Whoa, now I have all my colors. Yellow, blue, red, and secondary colors, green, orange, and purple. And I can also make lots of tints by adding some white. So let's see what happens. Scoop that out. When I mix some white with just a touch of red. Oh, I get a beautiful pink. So whenever you want to make a color lighter, you can also add white. You can paint your flower any color that you want. It doesn't even have to look real. So I am going to paint all different beautiful colors because this way I also have fun mixing my colors at the same time. I'm going to start with yellow. And you don't have to color it exactly into the line, because if you go over the black lines, that's okay, because then later on, after your painting dries, you can put the black lines back in again. My yellow petals, they sure are pretty. Now, boys and girls, the other petals I am going to make orange. Do you remember what colors we mixed for orange? We have some yellow. And I am going to scoop out of my red cup. And you know, when we mix yellow and red, we are going to get, ooh, pretty orange. I like that color. Boys and girls, now don't forget the background of the painting, because the background is just as important as the flower itself. Oh, I think it looks really pretty. It looks like a sun in the sky. Now for the inside of the flower, in real life, my sunflower is brown and sort of almost like a dark, dark black. But I'm not going to make brown because I like bright colors. So what I'm going to do is I am going to make a purple now. So I'm going to take my palette, and do you remember what two colors I mixed to get purple? That's right, I'm going to use blue, and I'm going to scoop some red, and then I am going to gently mix it together. Whoa, that's a pretty dark, dark purple. Isn't it pretty? Now, if you want it to be a little lighter, then you can add a little more red to it. Oh, I kind of like it. I think it's really pretty. I am going to paint this shape right in the middle, a nice dark purple. Isn't that pretty? And you know I need my small brush. I'm going to use a really tiny brush this time. because that's a tiny little shape. And this part I want to be a little lighter. And boys and girls, this is where it's fun. You can mix all sorts of tints. A tint is what you get when you mix white with a color. So watch what happens when I scoop out some white. I'm going to scoop it out with a clean brush so it doesn't get my white cup mixed up. And I'm going to scoop up some white, and now I get a nice light purple. Isn't that pretty? So let's see how it looks next to my other purple. Now I want it to be even lighter. So what would I do if I want to make my purple even lighter? Well, you know I'm going to add more white and mix it all together. Sometimes I twirl my brush too, but be gentle with the paintbrush because you don't want to ruin it, right? And now, oh, look how pretty that is. I call this one Burst of Sunshine. And I think it's super happy. It looks like the yellows and the reds and the oranges are popping right off the page. What feeling does your picture have? What will you call it? Now I have another idea for you that you can try another day. Go out and find something in nature that you like to paint. I live near the beach, so I collect shells. Maybe you live near the beach too, or maybe you can find a leaf or even a piece of wood, as long as you're safe and you're with an adult. Now, I happen to have these beautiful shells, so I'm going to paint a shell. And just like George O'Keeffe, I'm going to look for patterns in the shell. So this one has a nice spiral pattern. Isn't that pretty? And this one has a pattern that is like a fan. I like that one too. This one's really interesting. It has a spiral, but there's little spikes all around it. I think I'm going to paint this scallop shell. And I'm going to make a beautiful fan. But just like the flower, I'm not going to paint it tiny like this. I'm going to blow it up. And I'm going to make it go way off the page. We're going to work with watercolor. And we're going to do a really fun technique called watercolor resist. So you're going to need oil pastels or crayons. Oil pastels work better for this project. So I'm going to draw, and again I'm going to make my shell really, really gigantic. So here we go. I'm going to put the shell here, and I'm going to draw so it goes way off the page. So, whoa, see how big that shell is? Goes way off the page, and there's the edges of it. Okay? You can't even see the shape of the shell. Now I'm going to draw all the lines that fan out from the center. And because this is imagination, it might be fun if I make each line a different color. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to make a purple one. When you do this, press really, really hard with your crayons, but don't break the crayon, of course. And I'm going to make a dark purple one. And what other color? Oh, I have pink. I'm going to make a pink one. Do you see how I'm creating a pattern? They're sort of like stripes. And I started out by looking at the shell, but then I changed it around and I made the shell really, really, really big. So I'm going to put one more line in the middle, and I think I'll make that one orange. So then, boys and girls, after you do this, you might want to actually go back over the lines so that they're really, really thick and very, very easy to see. You don't want to draw really, really lightly with this. And I'll show you why in a minute. So those are my oil pastels. And that's the beginning of my artwork. Now I'm going to actually paint right over the lines. And I'm going to use watercolor. So with watercolor, you can make a color lighter. You don't even have to add white. You can make a color lighter by actually adding more water. So I am going to start with some orange. And here's my watercolor set. Do you see how I'm going right over the lines? Okay? And the lines show up because it's called resist. They resist the water. So add a lot of water, okay? And then you can drop the color in. Do you see? And my lines still show up. And then I can mix in other colors as well. So wash off your brush, wipe it off. Let me try purple. Let's see how that works. Boys and girls, don't forget you need to put oh, you see how the line shows up there? And you need to put a lot of water with this, but not too much. If you put too much, it's just going to be a mess. Oh, that looks so pretty. This is going to be my rainbow shell. See? And what other color should I use? Wash off my brush. Let me try this pretty turquoise. This looks really pretty. Wow, and I can even blend it with my purple. That looks so pretty. I started off with a shell and then I made a design out of it. This is called abstract art because the shell actually became shapes, lines, and colors. Boys and girls, have fun with your shell painting or whatever you decide to paint from nature. And enjoy all the beauty around you every day.